Jim, if finances have a heartbeat, it's the credit score. It affects what you pay for mortgages or rent, your auto loan, your insurance, your utility deposits, and even if you'll get a job.
Those three little numbers can cost you plenty. A poor score can even shut you out of a job.
Did you know that credit score could even impact your hireability?
It's the same thing with a lot of organizations. When they go to hire somebody, oh, they have a low score, they might not be as responsible, perhaps we won't hire them.
In addition to credit decisions, your FICO credit score may be used to determine if a landlord will rent to you or even if an employer will hire you. That's right, that little three-digit number between 300 and 850 impacts your financial life in a lot of ways.
Boy, Jennifer, do a lot of people want to hear from you?
Oh, yeah, my goodness. Well, keeping track of your credit score is really important from an ID theft standpoint because you can check your report for that, and then also your score can affect whether or not you're eligible for a job. So there's lots of reasons to keep it on your radar screen.
Well, how do you check your credit score?
Now, let's take the credit aptitude test. Question 1, multiple choice. Your credit score affects your ability to A, get a job, qualify for a mortgage or rent an apartment, C, get a car, D, all of the above, E, none of the above. The answer, D, all of the above.
How creditworthy are you? Liz Pulliam-Weston, author of Your Credit Score, Your Money, and What's at Stake, has an updated look at your FICO score. That's the magic number which determines what kind of interest rates you get. Some cases, too, whether an employer will hire you. Is that really fair, though, Liz? I mean, a true predictor of what kind of worker you're going to be? Tony and I were just talking about that. Do they really do that?
You know, it's up in the air. There doesn't seem to be a lot of evidence that it's true, but it's certainly popular with employers. They think there's a connection between people who are having financial trouble and people who are more likely to steal. So they are, likely to pull your credit report and take a look at what's there.
Days checking up on your credit. A bad credit score doesn't only impact your rate on a mortgage, it could also impact your job, right down to where you live.
Your credit standing can be used for employment. 20% of all employers do check your credit.
A credit score shows how well a consumer handles their money, and that's something employers are interested in. Pulling a credit score is an easy way to find out more about an applicant's background.
It becomes one of a tool of things that they have at their arsenal when they're screening applicants for somewhat, sometimes very competitive positions.
Certain employers are especially likely to rely on credit score.
Banking industry, government-related jobs, police, fire, those type jobs are pulling credit more and more.
So what can you do?
She needs loans to pay for school, but those very loans could keep her from getting her dream job. That's because carrying debt hurts credit scores, and more employers these days are using those scores to evaluate job candidates.
It's hard enough getting a job for a lot of us to begin with. It just seems like a vicious cycle.
It turns out GPA and class standing aren't the only numbers that employers care about. Many also want to know your credit scores. But now taking out those loans may keep her from getting her dream job. Why? Debt could drive down her credit score, which matters to many employers these days.
It's hard enough getting a job for a lot of us to begin with. It just seems like a vicious cycle.
CBS 2's consumer reporter Kirsten Cole explains many employers now want to know credit scores.
But her student loan debt is driving down her credit score. A number of employers are giving a hard look.
It's hard enough getting a job for a lot of us to begin with. It just seems like a vicious cycle.
Well, Mark and Michelle, it turns out GPA and class standing are not the only numbers employers care about. Many now also want to know your credit scores. Well, that debt could drive down her credit score, which matters to many employers these days.
It's hard enough getting a job for a lot of us to begin with. It just seems like a vicious cycle.
Think about someone applying for a job in a bank. If you're going to go work in a bank and you're going to handle money, do you want people in there with really low scores handling money? That means they don't even know how to manage their money at home. I'm not sure you want them managing the money at the bank. And so that's an example where I think a bank is going to be a little bit conservative about that as well. I will tell you, even when you apply for a job at Equifax, we check your credit score because we like to make sure that you are good at managing your money.
This morning on Today's Money, we're putting credit scores in the spotlight. They have a huge impact on our personal finances, especially when it comes to qualifying for a loan. But do you know what yours is and how that number impacts everything from insurance premiums to your ability to get a job?
They take the information from your credit report and synthesize into one number that really makes the big difference on whether you can qualify for loans, get a job, good insurance rates, lots of things.
Yeah. Over the last 30 years or so, Fair Isaac's proprietary credit score, known as FICO, has arguably become the most important number in our lives. Lenders use it to determine whether to loan us money and at what interest rate. Employers use it, so do insurance companies.
It's becoming criminal to have a bad credit score. Seriously. I mean, to not hire someone solely based on a bad credit score is just as bad as having a criminal record in a lot of companies. And that is wrong. Completely wrong on many, many levels. So again, if there's any lawyers or attorneys or anyone out there in the YouTube world watching this video,
and if you're having trouble getting interviews when you think that you're very well qualified for positions, your credit score may very well be the area that is holding you back. Now, we're so confident in our effectiveness that we offer a 100% money-back guarantee, that we can remove at least 25% of the negative comments on your credit score or on your credit report, and if we don't, 100% of your money is refunded.
So you're the new girl.
Yes.
That's cute.
Go on in. Mr. Felsnikov, thank you for overlooking my credit score. I was in college and I charged up a whole bunch of things that I really couldn't afford. Who knew employers checked that?
Hey kid, I don't credit check you. You don't credit check me. Capiche? And sometimes it floods in here. You might want to start wearing boots.
Potential employers can check your credit. Don't let your bad credit put you in a bad job.
Those property taxes and all those other taxes and all those bills and all those creditors have shot your credit score. You think you're the only one who knows it? Well, talk to your boss or your potential boss. He probably has your FICO report right on his desk.
The credit reports that we provide at CheckPass are pre-employment credit reports, and it's going to include some key pieces of data such as a summary of accounts, basically letting someone know payment history. It's not going to provide a credit score.
Take a look around. We've been living in some pretty, tough times. I mean, a lot of folks' credit report scores have probably been going down.